Hey, are you waiting for a tariff rebate check? You better find something better to do, like watch paint dry or something, if you think you're really going to get what Trump has promised. And as pointed out by one of the writers at MSNBC Online, if this were a typical administration, which is not, this is pre-Nazi administration. If this were a typical administration, political advisors would start worrying right now about how to tell voters in next November's midterm elections about the toilet rats, don't laugh, accomplishments. Oh, Jesus Christ. Now, normally in a political season, you would have candidates planning to stop by a factory or the groundbreaking for a new bridge in a key state, or they'd be workshopping campaign messages with focus groups, right? How do we get the message out that our great and glorious leader, Donald Christ, has done such a wonderful job? Well, it's going to be a little difficult because this rat bastard has done nothing except, well, he threatens universities. I'll get to that in a little bit in tonight's podcast. The truth is that the Christians don't have a good story to tell about the toilet rat second term. The major achievement of this toilet rat has been this wildly unpopular big, beautiful budget bill. And it's only going to get worse. As MSNBC puts it, the public already knows about Trump's efforts to slash government services, deport millions of immigrants, and the general public right now look at both of those situations in a very negative way. So the toilet rat's advisors, the political advisors, they got to come up with something. Because, you know, we are a year and 3-4 months away from what should be a bloodbath for the Christians. Let's hope that they will be banished back to their little hovels, the churches that they all vomit out from with their destructive policies. That's the projection, I think. I certainly hope. So the toilet rat's advisors are coming up with something new. They're promising that the check is in the mail. Yeah. What were the three biggest lies? No, I'm not going to go through all three of them because even for me, they're a little bit strong to put on a podcast. But anyway, here's the skinny, as they say. Over the past couple of months, these Christian fundraising emails have told voters to keep their eyes out for this Doge dividend check. Yeah. And that's supposed to come from the jumping jack South African Nazis slash and burn government efficiency effort. In one email, according to MSNBC, from the Trump Republican Joint Fundraising Committee, the toilet rat says falsely, because he is a fucking liar, that he signed into law a measure for no taxes on Social Security. That is bullshit. And now they're promising another imaginary benefit. Tariff rebate checks. Oh, Jesus Christ. Now, according to MSNBC, this idea first bubbled up out of this crazy fucker, Josh Hawley, the little Republican Christian Nazi from Missouri. He thinks he's a senator. He introduced a bill that would give Americans a one-time $600 credit on their income taxes next year. Oh! Now, this, of course, if you remember, this is the same amount as the second round of stimulus checks during the pandemic. The toilet rat, who always knows a popular idea when he hears it, even if he has no intention of doing anything about it, but he knows what will grab Americans by the checkbook. Well, he quickly endorsed Hawley's idea, saying, "We're thinking about a little rebate." Thinking about it. Yeah. Are you still working on your wonderful health care plan, you lying son of a bitch? Well, first of all, if the tariff rebates, the so-called imaginary $600, if it were similar to the coronavirus stimulant, they'd cost the federal government around $164 billion, which is most of the money generated by the tariffs in the first 6 months of the year so far. So there's no interest in even more new spending among the Christian devils in the U.S. House. They're the ones who passed this mega bill earlier in July that is now estimated to cost us $4.1 trillion over the next decade. Oh, aren't they just wonderful people? Huh? Aren't they? Anyway, Republican senators shot the idea down immediately. Josh Hawley's idea. James Lankford of Oklahoma, who another Christian fascist, senator from Oklahoma, he called Hawley's idea, quote, a bad idea. Ron Johnson, this crazy bastard from Wisconsin, said the country can't afford it. Bernie Moreno of Oklahoma called it insane. And Roger Marshall of Kansas said that the money should be used to pay down the debt. Right. Since we Americans, according to Roger Marshall, senator from Kansas, since we Americans, quote, we don't feel like we're being hurt by tariffs. Not yet. So, while the toilet rat went on the record of saying he liked the idea, he also called Hawley, if you remember, a second-tier senator about the same time. So, I don't think that Hawley is going to be, or if Trump is going to be working with Hawley. Hawley, immediately after he heard that the toilet rat called him a second-tier senator, what did Hawley do? He, put on his grin face and addressed news media and say, oh, well, Donald says stuff, and I do everything I can to support my dear president, or some such shit. So this idea of a refund as a result of the tariffs, another bullshit story put out there by Trump, but another one of those stories that is given life in the shadows of the internet, right? The little right-wing Christian fuckers who put this kind of garbage out there, keep it alive. But this is another tactic, you see, yet another one to distract people from the Epstein investigation. And would you be surprised to find out that it was a toilet rat? Along with these other bastards, and I don't care who they were. I don't care if it's Bill Clinton. I don't care if it's the goddamn Pope. It doesn't make any difference to me. But the toilet rat, well, it does make a difference, but you know what I'm saying. The toilet rat, wouldn't it be something to find out that Donald Christ Trump had actually gotten involved with Epstein in having sex with underage girls? Would you be surprised? Huh? Mr. Grab him by the pussy Trump? I wouldn't be the least bit surprised. So anyway, back to the story. For most people who follow this bullshit, most journalists, it was a one-day story like the Doge checks. Remember? Since the jumping jack Nazi has saved the American public so much money, we're all going to get a piece of it. Yeah? Where's yours? Did mine? Mine hasn't arrived yet. You got yours? So anyway, once the journalists found out that the idea was bullshit, they moved on to more pressing issues. But ideas like, well, you're going to get a rebate check because I'm raking in billions of dollars. Ideas have a way of living on in the so-called twilight area of the internet. And this kind of lie, this kind of horseshit is promoted by campaign emails from the toilet rat's Republican, whatever it is. He's going to run for a third term. And it leads to stories on local news sites that need the clicks. We need the clicks. And it becomes a vicious cycle of lies, distortions, untruths, fascism, this putrid goddamn Donald Trump who continues to pump his vomit into the consciousness of so many of us in this country. It's just, well, very frustrating. One email that the author of this piece at MSNBC that he received, one email said simply this: fellow American, would you accept a tariff rebate check from President Trump? And then there were a couple of boxes there. You could check box that said yes, or you could check a box that said no. And if you clicked either one, according to this article, you were then immediately redirected to the same website, whether you clicked yes or no. And at that website, you could say whether you would like to receive anywhere from $600 to $5,000. And then you were asked if you would invest it, save it, pay off debt, book a vacation, or donate it to charity before asking if the person reading this horse shit would like to donate to a Republican Senate candidate. Oh, my God. Yeah, I'll take the $5,000. I'm going to take a vacation. Yeah, click, click, click. Now, whether this was intended or not, these emails are an implicit admission that tariffs are goddamn for sure going to raise prices for Americans, which is why Christian terrorist Senator Hawley had to go out of his way to claim that they're actually supposed to help people who were hurt by Joe Biden's policies. Oh, yes, we were all hurt by Biden's policies. Oh, I am still smarting. Look at the bruises on me. It's typical of these Christian liars. They have complete control of Washington, all three branches. And they can't pass anything that might be popular enough to run a political campaign on. They just can't do it. So they come up with bullshit. So you can tell from these emails that are going out that some of these Republican Christian candidates' consultants know what voters would like, which makes it all the more evident that they can't do it. The Christians who are pushing this bullshit cannot make this really happen. It is all fantasy. It is all lies. It is all watch this hand while I pick your pocket with this other one. Now, in a world where the Democratic Party knew how to fight fire with fire, this would be a good opening, what they're doing. I think it's well known, should be, that for years, Republicans have attacked Democrats because Democrats promise all sorts of benefits to voters, right? Socialists, communists. And that led the Republican Party's establishment to avoid criticism by creating programs that really followed the template put out by the Democrats. You know, tax credits, subsidies when it wants to achieve some goal, like getting more people health insurance or fighting climate change. Lying bastards. So what the consultants have told these Christian terrorists when they get ready to hit the campaign trail for next year's election is that their rhetoric, their goals should be to keep promising cold, hard cash. We're going to give you money. We're going to give you money. We're going to give you money. So can you imagine how popular a president might be if that president actually delivered on that promise? Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. You know, the Progressive Voices Network brings you commercial-free commentary from today's leading progressive radio hosts and pundits, like me, Mike Malloy, 24 hours a day. I'm not your typical old guy from the 80s or the 90s talk radio host, and Progressive Voices is not your typical talk radio network. It's a listener-supported nonprofit with no corporate control whatsoever over our broadcast. So hosts like me, Mike Malloy, are free to rant and scream and carry on about whatever we like. We're often controversial, but we're never boring. Weeknights, 9 p.m. in the East, 6 p.m. in the West on the Progressive Voices Network. Always progressive, Always on. I'm Mike Malloy. Keep it lit.